Hello everyone, Totally T-Mac here with news you can use. The Food and Drug Administration just dropped a big bombshell. The FDA says most over-the-counter oral decongestants just don't work. Stick around because I'm going to also tell you what does actually work. Many common cold medicines contain an active ingredient called phenylephrine. But according to the FDA, these oral medications are totally ineffective when it comes to relieving your congestion. Now, if the FDA follows the recommendations of its panel, and it usually does, then it could potentially end the sales of dozens of very popular drugs. Those drugs include such products as Sudafed PE, Vicks Dayquil, cold and flu, Tylenol sinus plus headache, and a slew of other favorites. The FDA has actually been studying these kinds of oral medications since 2007, and their conclusions are based on 3 recent clinical trials conducted to determine whether such drugs actually work, and it turns out, according to the agency, they don't. I should point out, though, that while these medications don't seem to be effective, the FDA says they are not dangerous, so that's the good news. The bad news is that they're probably not going to give you any relief when you have a cold. Meanwhile, the pharmaceutical industry isn't taking the FDA's findings well and is pushing back hard. The association that represents drug manufacturers issued a statement saying the regulations for these drugs remain unchanged at this time and the products will continue to be sold. In other words, pharmaceutical companies think the FDA is just full of it. All right, so if you are congested and the over-the-counter products you've been using in the past are not all they're cracked up to be, what exactly does work? Well, you probably already know there is no cure for the common cold. That's just a cold, hard fact, pun intended. But the FDA says while the oral medications are ineffective, the nasal sprays with that very same active ingredient do seem to work, at least to some degree, and that drugs containing an antihistamine and something called pseudoephedrine may also be effective. But many of those medications are now strictly regulated as behind-the-counter products and can only be purchased in limited quantities because there are concerns that they can be used to make crystal methamphetamine of all things. So there you have it. Nasal sprays are good, according to the FDA. Oral medications with the very same active ingredient, not so much. But many doctors say when you have a cold, you could probably do just as well by getting plenty of rest, staying hydrated, and maybe eat some hot chicken soup. It's not going to cure your cold, of course, but it may help you feel better until you get over it. So what do you think? Have you had success with over-the-counter medications when you've had a cold? What works for you? Feel free to leave a comment below, and as always, please subscribe and click that notification bell, as well as like and share the channel. And once again, thanks for watching. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you later on the next Totally T-Mac with news you can use.